But I've been, well, when Lola contacted me, my first instinct was to say no because I don't speak in front of people, because I'll start turning red and I'll start sweating. So, but okay, well look, do this. Sarah, give me my sunglasses so they're real dark. But the more she said about the different charities that you guys work with, it's everything that my household supports anyway. My mom, the veterans, my mom, well, everybody in my family was either in the Army or Marines, and my daughter, her husband was in the Navy, and just the teddy bear program for the children, and just pretty much the whole list that she has on the application. We've supported that in our community, so I thought, we got to join this, and so I had to say yes. I thought, I'm just going to force myself to give that up. My husband and I, and my oldest, I have a son that's almost 30. We've lived in Castro Valley, Hayward for about 28 years. Didn't know you guys existed. I drive by here twice a week. Never knew that. Yes, since I was 18, we drove by here. I never did what you guys did. My mom was raised here in Castro Valley. My grandfather now. We lost my grandmother a few years ago. But my grandfather, Lola wanted me to talk about my grandfather. He turns 100 this year. He still lives, and he gets around just as good as she does. He still lives in the same house my mom was raised in, right here in Castro Valley, next to that new burger, Boulevard Burger. It used to be an A&W way back when. Yep. When I was a kid, we'd come and stay with Grandma and Grandpa, and every night we got, root beer floats. Because my grandparents would watch the place at night and call police if somebody was breaking in, so when they would clean out the machines, they would give them all the leftover for the day, root beer and ice cream, so Grandma and Grandpa always had a stock. But I was, my husband and I are both born in Texas. Even though my mom was raised here, she joined the Army, met my dad down in Oklahoma, and I have an older sister that was born in Oklahoma, and then they moved to Texas, where I came from. Met my husband in high school in Fresno because his family did move out to California as well. And we were just friends in high school, never dated or anything. And so we've been married for 32 years now. And I have, like I said, I have a son that's going to be 30 here. He's feeling it. But he's about 6'2", and he's a huge guy. And he was born actually in Alaska because we lived in Alaska for years. So we nicknamed him Moose. And then when my husband got out of the Army, we moved here to Castro Valley, and my daughter is a completely Hayward child, grown, born, and raised, and she's married. This Valentine's Day is her anniversary. So I'm very proud of my kids. These are the only two I have. But I have raised my nephew as well, so kind of mom for everybody. My house has a revolving door. Thank you. Getting back to writing. I did write when I was younger, and then I just, life got in the way and doing all the other things. And a few years ago, I'd say about 5-6 years ago, the company I was working for, the owner passed away, so I was out of a job. A couple months later, my husband's company closed, worked for the Toyota plant in Fremont. So we were both thinking, midlife, what do we do now? We're older, kids are out. He always wanted to be a truck driver, so he went to school, got his license, and he goes, why don't you get your license and come with me and we'll drive? So I went to school and learned how to drive a big rig. Cool. So in my late 40s, I'm driving a big rig around the United States, and you have to have something to do. And you wait a lot. You wait to get loaded, you wait to get unloaded, you wait for the next load. So there's a lot of sitting and waiting. And I kept having, this is the first book, sorry. This is the first book I wrote, and I'm most proud of this one. This one kind of wrote itself, very strangely. This is Fear's Revenge. And for some reason, I kept dreaming the first chapter and how they'd look at him. And I thought, you know what, this is driving me crazy after a few days. I go, let me just put this on paper, maybe it'll get out of my head. And then I kept thinking of conversations and sentences, and it just started writing itself. So I kind of did the beginning and end and then filled in the center. But all of my books, not planned to be this way, but they are about strong women. And I don't know if it's because I'm weak or what. I wish I was. But this is about, I don't know how much you guys like to hear about a book. I won't tell you the ending or anything. Kind of a general thing is, It's about a woman that something tragic happens to her in the beginning of the book. And she decides, rather than to go to the authorities, to take revenge on the people involved. And she does it in a very creative way, 4 different times. And it's, my opinion, it's kind of what women are good at, and that's mental revenge. You know, just little things that mess with mess with men psychologically. And there's a lot of comedy in this book. The first 4 chapters are kind of rough, I'll admit that. I had a lot of agents turn me down because they couldn't get past that. But if you start in chapter 4, it's 20 years later, and that's when the story really begins. She's really tough. But this one is actually up for a movie. It's in the Authors Solutions Hollywood database. I know that Demi Moore's production company has looked it over. I haven't gotten any offers, and I'm not holding my breath. But this one I'm the most proud of. It's actually it was supposed to be 2 books, but when they first published it, it was so small when they sent me the draft. Because this is my first copy. This is the first one off the press. Oh no, not this one. This one just like it. And I thought, that's too small. People aren't going to buy this. So I made 2 in 1. So there's a part 1 and a part 2 in here. But it's a good book. It's got comedy and stuff, and I've gotten a lot of really good reviews about this one.
Did they picture a last one?
No, actually, I told the publisher what I wanted to see. They got it in the second try. Somebody told me this was the Grand Tetons.
Grand Tetons, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Grand Tetons. I'll pass this one around so you guys can look at it. Whichever way you want to go, is that right? Now the second one, this one, excuse me, that one's a thriller suspense. It's got a little romance, it's got a little comedy, it's got a little everything. This one is a paranormal romance, and it's about a woman that marries her college sweetheart and how her life changes. It doesn't turn into what her destiny was supposed to be. She gets an opportunity to go back to her hometown and change something that puts her life back on track. And there's she has a little ghostly friend that helps her. She's a child psychologist, and she meets this little ghost girl that comes in with a human client. So she goes a little trip through wine country, but this picture here, which inspired the whole book and the name, I actually took this photo. Maybe I'll open it up here a little bit. In our travels, this is actually a huge lily pond off of the I-5 right over the Washington border. Every year we would go through this, and we would see the lily pads die and then come back to life every year. And I love it. The character's name is Lily. Her last name's Coco, as a child, so kind of inspired the whole thing. So I don't want to tell you about that one, but happiness. This is my latest one. This one was just released in August. This one is Gabrielle Lost, and the main character in this one is the friend from the first one. I forgot to say that the 4th book I'm writing right now, they're all 4 college friends, all 4 women, and they're all mentioned throughout the books. So Fears Revenge was the first you're introduced to all of them, and then this is the second one is Lillian Anderson, and then this one is Gabrielle. And she's kind of the wild child of the group. But this book is supposed to be a few years after Fears Revenge, where her life picks up and makes a few changes, and she's dealt with kind of a crossroads in her life to either go on the path that she's on or revert back to the way she was. And it takes part mostly in Italy. In all my books, there's a little cooking. There's an interesting lobster recipe in here that I came up with that I'm very proud of, and I wish I could try, but I can't. But this one's more, I would say it's more of a modern day romance. And I'll tell you why. My daughter's probably going to know what I'm talking about. This one is, my son is gay, which I don't care. A lot of people really have a problem with that, but I know he still has to give me a grandchild. But this one has a little bit of that in there as well. So it's a little more of a modern day for their crowd. But all of my characters are in their late 30s because I think none of us get any older than that. At least I didn't. You think the same way you did in your 30s. That's it. I'm stopping there, and I'm a few years past that. But so this is of research went into this one. And I've even been asked, well, how many times have you been to Italy? I've never been to Italy. I did a lot of research for this book and some of the monuments and the different things there. And that was for describing the landscape and, the vineyards and stuff. You have to picture yourself there. So I did a lot of research. So I spent a year doing this one.